Hello everyone. Sorry, I wanted to do one of these videos for you. You thought you got away from me having to record videos, didn't you? But I wanted to do a whole staff update about Year 11 in our briefing on Wednesday this week. Unfortunately, I hadn't seen that there's year team meetings going on, so I just wanted to record it down for you so you can understand the rationale and thinking behind it, and essentially what's going to happen with Year 11 when we get to exams happening. So, as you can see from the email I've sent to you, midway writing through it to you there, I'm just recording this video, and there is a attached document that gives you a one-page idea summary of what will happen for the exams from the 16th of May. So the day-by-day running of it is, if you click on this link, you'll be taken to a kind of an Excel spreadsheet that looks a bit like this, that organises and lays out which exam is happening each day and if there's any extra revision sessions, so you can start to plan for when you will see your students in lessons. So if I just take you through how to read it, the tabs at the bottom, what you click on to be able to navigate through everything. So the overall guidance is just like we did for the mock exams. The students are going to register at 8:40 in forms, and then they go to the Hive. They're escorted down, please, to the Hive holding room for me to talk to them and get them into the exam hall. The rooms we're using will be obviously the sports hall. We'll be using P2. We've got the careers office and a couple of other offices around the school for a couple of additional needs. Our exams start at 9 a.m. and so there will be some exams that finish at around 10:30, like maths and history and so on, and students will then go back to their timetabled lesson once they've come out of their exam. If an exam finishes at 10:45 or slightly later, like the very first one, RS, we just need staff to come to the Hive to help support, please. Afternoon exams, we need to start them in the afternoon, the main hall by 1:30, but we're going to aim to try and start the ones in P2 for access arrangements at 1:15, just to allow those with extra time not to have to miss buses, etc. For all afternoon exams, what will happen is that the students will just go straight home after completing them, so that they don't remain on site, which is kind of similar to what we had set up for the mocks. So your first week looks a little bit like this. If I just take you through a day at a time so you can see how to read it. Here's Monday at the top. It's split into X half and Y half, but also we've got the exam column here. So periods 1 and 2 on that Monday, we've got the RS paper, which affects the whole year group. That's why it takes out periods 1 and 2 of both X and Y. That will finish at around about 10:45. So we need staff to go to the Hive, please, just to just look after the students as they finish the exams there. Period 3 is just the students go back into normal lessons. Anything in yellow that you see on this timetable is just an extra revision session that we've tried to plan in. We're trying to do extra revision sessions, period 3, immediately before afternoon lessons, to give you a chance to see your students immediately before they go into an exam room. Because obviously we realise that one or two subjects may have period 1 and 2 lessons throughout the course of these weeks, and you'll just miss them because of having English language or whole school exams hit them. So basically, pink means there's an exam on, and yellow means there's an additional revision session on. It'll say which subject it's for, so for example computing, where it is, and then at the bottom there's some notes. So anything in blue is for Carol, so that she knows to cover Alison, so that Alison can have some time with her computing students immediately before they go into the exam room, just so they're nice and comfortable. Everything else, where you see normal timetable, the students will be in your normal lessons. Now, in terms of what the students can do during that time, the assembly that we're going to give to them next week will very much say that we expect it's entirely up to the member of staff who's teaching it, your discretion, rather than the student saying, oh, I want to revise for X, Y, and Z. The reason for that is that the student doesn't necessarily have the big picture overview of your subject that you do, knowing that you might miss certain lessons later down the line and you really want to do some revision with your students that are there. Okay. Now, one of the caveats to that is if, as a classroom teacher, you have a lesson. I'm going to look at Friday this week just to reinforce my point. If you have a lesson of a subject that's had one of its exams already that day, you can choose to allow the students to do revision for other subjects should you wish. Okay, so if we look at Friday the 20th, maths is periods 1 and 2. So there's a maths exam in the morning, but I know, for example, that X-Band have a maths lesson period 5 on that Friday, and there's only 16 students involved in the event operations or Chinese GCSE exam. So the maths teachers there may wish to kind of do some maths revision, but it would be double maths in a day, so you might want to use your own teacher discretion to allow the students to do some revision for other subjects. The students will be in school throughout all of this. In terms of a stand down day, I'll go back to my original document here. Stand down day will be from Wednesday the 15th of June after that date. The reason for that, and reason why it's slightly later than is kind of like previously traditional, it's May half term, is that it's due to the number of exams that have been spaced out. So the exam boards now have tried to leave 10 days between each of their exams. It's also due to the coding of study leave. Study leave does not count as attendance in school. So as a result, any time that we do study leave, our attendance plummets like a rock. So as a result, almost all the schools in York are either doing exactly what we're doing and having stand down day for year 11 as the 15th of June, just take you to that, after Wednesday the 15th of June, or even in some cases, Joe Rowe and Huntington, their stand down day isn't until Thursday the 24th of June, when it is the very last exam for most students, the physics paper. Okay, the rationale behind that again is to do with attendance and safeguarding. So yeah, that's how you read this particular document in terms of what exams are happening and when you can expect to see your students there. So if I just take you through that first week, as you can see, we tried to timetable revision sessions immediately before afternoon exams. Okay, so for example, drama before drama, event operations before event operations. Now, to do that might mean certain members of staff giving up a free in order to do that, but we will pay you back in terms of a lesson where you would actually gain it as gain time as being free. So, for example, in that case there, it highlights it in yellow if that's the case for anyone. So, for example, Wednesday periods 1 and 2 will be Elaine's gain time for giving up a free period to do some revision with her event operations students immediately before they go into their exam. So that's how I've tried to organise it, to highlight gain time that you would get. The other thing to mention of this document, as I mentioned there, is about revision lessons. So there's no need to stop to allow private study. If you really want to kind of continue doing some revision for science or French in your particular subject, I think it's important that we keep going with that, because quite a lot of the students may end up finding it really difficult to be self-motivated to do things entirely on their own without direction. But the other crucial thing that we won't be doing is that in terms of invigilation in the actual sports hall, we have now managed to get in place invigilators for all our exams. And about 4 weeks ago, it was very, very difficult in terms of invigilation. Just like across the country, schools are really struggling with invigilators. So we had a massive push, a massive drive of trying to get invigilators to sign up. And I'm thankful for everyone who did manage to speak to friends or colleagues or family members to get them interested, because we've now managed to cover everything. JCQ this morning have released a document that basically states that they're relaxing some of the rules around exams for the summer, for this summer only. So previously, the rules were that you had to have one invigilator for 30 students. They've relaxed that now to one invigilator for every 40 students, which means that we only need 5 invigilators in the sports hall rather than 6. But also JCQ have relaxed it for this year only to allow teachers to be able to invigilate. Now, we're not going down that route. If there's an exam for whole school happening when you should have year 11, that's gain time for you. We're not doing that, because we've been able to, as I say, have a real big recruitment drive on getting invigilators in over the next 4 weeks and recruiting lots of people, so that does not need to happen. It may be the case that it does have to happen in other schools around the country. We don't want to get ourselves into that discussion or even think about that, so we've been able to get invigilation in. The document just goes on just to explain some more things that you kind of have been quite used to now with the mock exam periods that we've had in March and November, in terms of what happens for morning exams, etc. For morning exams, students come and register as normal at 8:40, go to the Hive with form tutors, and then I start getting them in for a 9 o'clock start. Our invigilators will be there. And then, where it says period 1 staff go straight to the sports hall, that can just get deleted. That doesn't exist, because we've got our invigilators there look after everything. For afternoon exams, slight change. Well, not slight change. It's the same as the March mocks. Students just who have an exam come straight to the Hive. I will meet them there. If it is a whole school exam in the afternoon, then teachers obviously come and support me just to get the students in. A number of exams in the afternoon are around 40 minutes. So it means it's going to be quite tight to get them in and out and away in time for buses, etc. But crucially, as I mentioned, no manor staff are required from vigilation in the sports hall. Now, in terms of re-roomings, again, we been able to tweak things slightly so that the only kind of room that's now affected by re-rooming is going to be P2. Okay, and so I've tried to do those straight into there. That will affect our cover colleagues and supply colleagues for the drama classes there. So I've tried to schedule those things in so you can see, just to have an idea of things. But it won't be a case, for example, Joe, who had to do a re-rooming of a re-rooming, that won't be necessary. So we just continue as you see on there. For morning form time, though, Sam's form will get roomed to H15. That's just as normal, like it's always been. And Loz, I'm afraid this is going to be a slight re-rooming for you on kind of Thursday mornings whilst the exams are going on, just to allow the drama lessons to go into P1, if that's okay. So just going back to the kind of the big overview picture here, so you can see a little bit more in detail. This is for the second week. Again, it allows you to see, we have organised it, is to allow you to see which exam's happening, how many students are involved, and kind of like how many students you'd have at your lesson, and any other notes that we need to make underneath. As I've said, I've tried to do some revision for you period 3 immediately before your P exam. Could have made it a little trickier, a little bit more complicated by trying to kind of getting loads of extra revision lessons going on, but it could end up trying to be far too clever for our own good. The only time I've done that really has been for RS here, for the RS exam that's in the afternoon. Obviously, we don't have colleagues, that we don't have 10 RS colleagues to be able to deliver to the entire year group at the same time, period 3. So I've had to offset it in terms of X band getting some RS revision then, and Y band getting some there. And the reason why I've done that is that, for example, X band, a lot of students won't have had an RS lesson since the previous week because of the French exam here, and a lot of Y band students won't have had an RS lesson due to the P exam here. So it's just trying to get them some kind of revision immediately before their exam in the afternoon. Okay. As I say, in the first week back, after we come back after the holidays, it's just start to get a little bit more revision heavy in terms of extra revision that I'm trying to put on, and some re-roomings. But it allows, as I said, the students to kind of see you before they go into the exam room, as much as anything else, to allow you the time with them just to kind of calm them down and calm their nerves and so on. So essentially that's the plan. As I mentioned, when we get to Wednesday, 15th of June, biology exam happens in the morning, some DT revision immediately before the DT exam. And after that day, the students would only then be coming in for their exams or revision sessions. So, for example, on the Thursday, the 16th, the students come in for their history exam in the morning. Form time will still need to happen for that week, Thursday the 16th to Thursday the 23rd, just so we can register students in the morning. So if form tutors could still be present in those form rooms just to register students, that would be great. Where on that Thursday we've got French revision in the afternoon. Students who don't do history will come in at break time to kind of to have that French revision with us before staying on site for their French writing exam. And then the last full week, we've obviously got an awful lot less of the students' exams. So there's a number of students who just after the biology exam only have 1 or 2 exams left, the chemistry and physics papers. If a student kind of, let's say, take this Tuesday the 21st as an example, if a student only has an exam in the afternoon, they would only come in at lunchtime, come to the year 11 balcony, sit there, and then we'd get them into the hive for their afternoon exam for the catering and dance. They would sign in at lunchtime if they were only on site after Wednesday the 15th and after stand down day, as it were. Okay, hopefully that explains things a little bit more for staff who are asking what's the plan with year 11 and when can I expect to see them, as hopefully this document here will kind of just basically explain when you'll see certain subjects or when you'll be impacted by revision happening elsewhere. Hope that explains everything. Thank you very much. Oh, how do I stop?